Beat It AT, what up? Beat It AT, what up?
Bitch, I'm the baddest, most cheated on the atlas, my Panamera. Yup, bitch, I'm the fastest. Me, I get it faster. Me, I fuck her faster. Me, I get it faster.
What is up, everyone? It is Andrew Pierre here at Beat It AT Production and Publishing, bringing you guys a new YouTube video. In this YouTube video, I'm going to be showing you guys how you guys can improve your mastering skills. And what we're going to do before I get too far ahead of myself, what I'm going to do is we're going to be using a service called eMastered. eMastered is a great service. I'll put the link that you guys can go to access eMastered down in the description below. And what I'm going to do, I have this track that's not mastered, and mastering is just a way to fully bring out the maximum volume, essentially, or the maximum loudness in creating crispness in the song's production. Usually mastering is just dealing with a 2-track wave, but with eMastered you can just drag and drop your unmastered track in here and it'll automatically master it. And then what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to see how it sounds, and then we're going to bring it inside of FL Studio, and I'm going to compare my unmastered to eMastered's mastered track of the beat. And I'm going to actually work on mastering my track to get it to sound like eMastered, or maybe even a little bit better. Who knows? The whole purpose of this is so you guys can learn a technique how to reverse engineer a mastered track, essentially. I think that's one of the best ways on learning anything is reverse engineering it. So I'm gonna go ahead and upload it. So it's uploading. It's gonna take a couple of seconds. While it's doing that, here's the track that I got, and you could totally see it's not mastered at all. But we're gonna be mastering it in here. I'm gonna download the eMastered version, and when I download the version, I'm gonna drag it and drop it in FL Studio so we could see what it sounds like. So I will, oh, it looks like it's catching up a little bit faster. Dope. It's actually almost done. That was actually pretty fast. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. It's a pretty big WAV file. So here's a mastered version. Original.
Beat It AT, what up? Beat It AT, what up? Beat It
So this is like the beat that I made, but it sounds pretty good for a fully mastered beat. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and pause that, and I'm gonna drag it inside FL. Oh, size. I don't know what size. Let's just drag it so it's like that. It's all screwed up. Back to content. So you can see it's louder, and whereas my version, the unmastered version, has a lot more like peaks and such. So it's quite different. I'm gonna pull that over, minimize that. So So what I'm gonna start off with is I'm gonna pick a EQ filter. Because I want to do a little bit of boost in that low, but not too much. I always like to cut down here. Now, I'm not, a little bit clarification, I'm not the #1 mastering engineer. I focus on a lot of different stuff in the production. But mastering, it takes a lot to get really good at it because it requires a very high attention to detail of the sonics. But I'm gonna go ahead and try my best at trying to like replicate a master, and I might even use some presets because there's some pretty good presets. If you combine them, you can get a pretty solid master. But as we heard with this E-mastered version, I think it's pretty solid. So the E-mastered version is really useful in general, just to get an idea of what a mastered track is. So that's why I'm not trying to say, oh, you don't need to use E-mastered ever, but what I'm saying is use it to, like, you could use it to just use for a final version or reverse engineer it, because you gotta have a fully mixed and mastered beat. Like, a lot of things, I work with some label people, and I'll tell you what, quickest way to get someone to turn off your beat is not having a mixed and mastered beat. Like, really. So I'm gonna pull up this saturation knob. I'm gonna pull up very little though. You can see how it could just sound trash if you do it too much. Then a very small amount of sound grudizer. I don't like to use these one knob plugins because you really don't know what they're doing. So that's why I always use a very minimal amount, because what the hell is sound grudizer doing? It's you don't really know. It's modifying too much. So when you use these one knob plugins, they can be very dangerous because they can edit part of the song that you don't know what it's doing. I'm just boosting the gain so it just comes up a little bit louder. And I want to see, I always have a limiter down here that just does nothing. It's literally not doing anything. All I'm going to see is loudness, and it's also going to just do peak control. So it's going to try its best on cutting down any peak loudness that might go over 0 decibels. As we can see, my version is still just a bit quieter because it goes down a little bit. It hits like down to like -9 dB, whereas this one doesn't really go past, like, it goes, and it does go around here, but very short, whereas mine does hit lower for a while. This is just reverse engineering. I'm trying to do this kind of quick so I don't use up too much of y'all's time. But this does take a bit. Man, this is all goofed up. What's this one? This is a mastering. Dude, I cannot see. This is irritating. I think this is mastering 2 dB. Now if I were to turn off all these, I just want to pull this one down. Now I'm just trying to find some points that might just be muddy that I can just cut it out, because I'm using headphones right now, and for mastering, if I'm really trying to master the track fully and at the best potential quality, I have to hear it on different systems, because sometimes I always love listening to it in the car, because my car, the stereo system, pretty phenomenal, not phenomenal, but it's pretty good, where I get an accurate reading on, is this too loud, is this distorted, and I kind of know at what volume it should be in my car. So that's a good way of testing your track, because then you can hear if it's distorted or if it's just too quiet. I'm not boosting, I'm actually caught. Alright, so yeah, so what? Do right there. I'm gonna pull down right there. You see how it's more dynamic without all of that? So essentially with the mastering, I'm trying to eliminate the dynamic range. So it seems like they have a little bit more low and mid-range. Our high ends seem pretty similar. I think I don't know if I really like how they did, how you could hear the pads a whole lot more. They're ever so slightly different, but there's a fair amount of difference from the unmastered version to the mastered version. I'm going to go ahead and bounce out my version real quick, and so we can compare and contrast it. In here. I need to restart FL, it all got goofed up. Also, I have a new complete side topic. I got a new course for teaching music production. It's available down in the description. It's called Udemy. I mean, not Udemy. It's on AUDULAR. So here's quite a difference between my version originally, but you could still see that they boosted. As I said, that they boosted. This is E mastered version right here. Tells you because it's E mastered. This is my mastered, and here's the unmastered. So you can see that their mid range seemed to do a little bit more boosting. It seems like they still had it a little bit louder than my version, but it's My version, this mastered version, is definitely closer to that, and this is really quiet as compared to all of them. So if I were to mute all these plugins so you could hear. Oh, shit. I'd say maybe their version might even clip a little bit more. I mean, it doesn't look like it clips at all, but it might just be like, it might be a little too loud. I don't know. But point being, that's a good way to learn how to master, because you get kind of like an idea of like what it pretty much should be, and you can work your way to get to that point, and then you can finally get a result that you did by yourself. So yeah, link to eMastered is down in the description down below. And then if you guys want to look into joining my new course on AUDULAR, it's a specialized course on teaching people how to make beats, as well as audio engineering and production. So more details about that are in AUDULAR's page, and link to that is in the description. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. This is Andrew Pierre here, and adios.